here is October 16th, Monday. Let's go over the trade review. You already see what's going on, but let's walk through mentally what you would need to do in order to trade this successfully. So if you notice back on, let's look at Friday. So Friday, you see how you have this big drop and then you have sort of this consolidation pattern. Look what ends up happening if you end up drawing a line from your higher lows, lower highs. It's a consolidation pattern. So when you have this, anytime you break out of it, remember what I told you last week in those past videos. You want to aim to here and then into your supports and resistance areas. So if you notice, right at opening, we were above the bull pivot. So what do? You long. And with your target is going to be mid, but it may not happen in one straight line. So let's go back and let's review what ends up happening to, the past 3 days. You remember where I told you that this 260 was super easy to identify by these 30-minute wicks. See how really that 260, it's not 100%, but if you notice, is this support, 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 and then it broke. Now that's support until proven otherwise. The other line right here is drawn like this. See how this is the high and see how this is the close right here at that first 30 minutes? Put a line right there. It'll help you reference where some targets are. If you end up breaking above this, then you're looking at this area that it's going to want to fill in because there's a lot of liquidity right there. So let's go back to the morning session. So if you go back and you play, a lot of times what ends up happening is you'll have this this breakout and then you will come back and retest it before it launches back up. And remember, like past lessons and past videos I've shown of last week and the week before, is if you end up breaking back below that breakout, then it'll get super violent and you'll end up like, crashing or very violently. You will start either shooting up or shooting down. But you don't need to recognize that. Usually the day after you have a consolidation break, you should know that the momentum is going to be to the upside. But when, you don't know. But so you got to start looking for opportunities. A lot of times this freaks people out when you see this push and then you have a big drop. But as long as you trust in the levels, you see right here, you go long. This was 8:45. These are 5-minute candles with a 30-minute overlay. Right at 8:45, then you go long. Where's your target? Your target's going to be that line. Remember, that's resistance until proven otherwise. So what I ended up doing was once this pushed from here to here, I ended up shorting, thinking that maybe it might be a double top and then it's going to come back down. What does it do? It ends up blowing past it. Once it stops me out, I ended up switching. Where do I go? I end up targeting up here, but then ideally this is the end of that first hour it held. So really my target was going to be this pivot, fib pivot, or remember that line I was telling you, this is where we end up failing on Friday. So a lot of times it wants to try to come back up to where it ended up failing. So what does it end up doing? As per our rules when we trade ATR, it comes up on this 5-minute and you get a hard rejection. What does it do? It comes back, it finds this as support, comes back up. But you see how as within this 30 minutes, you see how it's pushing up, failing, pushing up, failing. And you have these wicks right here. I mean, that is super important to sort of like get a visual reference of why these little wicks are happening and use that as a resistance. So now it comes back down here, comes back up here. What time is it? It's 10:30. What's the rule? We haven't made new highs by 10:30, the European close. Then you're looking for a potential exhaustion until the end of the period, the morning session. So you can see right here, this is the 12 o'clock candle, Central Time. Now, at 10:30 until 12 o'clock, all we did was chop around. We chop above VWAP and above that now support area. We needed to fail VWAP and that in order to get more momentum down. The likelihood is that was not going to happen because remember, the trend is up. So anything that we have a pullback, that's your opportunity to go long. So What do? We ended up pushing right up to that resistance at 12 o'clock. And you really have to be careful about this because it could do multiple things. You could push up, double top, and then fail, which it did. It actually pushed up and then it closed below, right here, below that mid pivot, and then it just started like collapsing on itself. This is liquidity. It was trying to find liquidity. It was stopping out a lot of stops. What do? We end up finding support right into this fib, and then we bounce. But this is why it's important when I was talking about going back to, if you saw the other videos, how that 30-minute period is super critical, because look what ends up happening right at 12:30. That candle closed above that area of that 263. So, and after 12:30 is when that 4-hour candle closes. Look, we're closing above that bull pivot. So that's telling me that this is still bullish. The bulls still have control, and now I'm going to use this as support. But there's things that you have to tell yourself is, how much more momentum do we have to the upside? How much momentum do we have to the downside? The bulls had their chance right here. The bulls should have destroyed. I mean, the bears should have destroyed the bulls right here. They should have came up. I actually went short right here because this was a hard reject through that pivot, and now I was assuming that at the end of 10:30 that we were going to come below this bull pivot and close around here. And if that happened, then absolutely the end of the afternoon, you would have started seeing a collapse probably right into here. So remember, when you have a value gap, that's a nice area of concern that you want to put. We gapped up right here. So keep that on radar for the rest of the week, because that could come into play. This is a gap that could actually end up filling later on. It could have done this today, but what do? Anytime you have a big push like this, you want to start selling or moving your stop. So people start getting stopped out the moment it closed above. That should have told me, okay, now get stopped out. I go long. We're in a new TPO. It's 12:30. You can safely say that you're going to be targeting the highs of the day. What do we end up doing? Going right to the highs of the day. This is where, on the afternoon plays, it's super critical to understand the momentum. And if it does something, then the likelihood is you might start being exhausted. So the scenario is this: we should have kept on going. This drop and push up easily should have gave it enough push to get us up to here, probably within this hour. And then the end of the day, I would have said maybe they would have maybe sold off the last 30 minutes, but they did not. They did not continue to the upside right here. And in fact, when they actually hit the highs, they rejected again all the way down to the mid-range. This right here tells me, screw it, I'm out of here. I'm done for the rest of the afternoon. So you can quickly find out after that 12:30 whether you actually want to continue the rest of the afternoon, or if you want to just play and chop. Because if you look, here's that same move all right here, but look at what it looks like on a Renko chart. I mean, this is not fun to plan. I want to get in, and I want to be able to get out quick, or I want to be able to get in, get out quick. I don't want to be playing around in this chop for 2 hours. I mean, start staring at a screen for 15, 20, 30 minutes, and you'll know what I'm talking about. So I actually didn't do well on one of my accounts. I hit a threshold because of breaking some rules, and that's why you have stop losses and thresholds. I got in right here, one contract, got in 2 contracts right here, anticipating that it was going to actually go down. When it got to right here, I got into a 3rd contract and averaging down or averaging up. And so when it blew through, it stopped me out, and I was out about 1,000 or 1,500. And then what did it do is a look above and then fail. and then this just sort of slowly the rest of the afternoon, last hour, came back down right to this pivot. So this is yeah, some good range. It's 50 points. You can do well, but you had to get in at the extremes, and you had to like wait through a lot of crap in order to get there. So you can easily spot the afternoon momentum by this hour right after 12:30. If we're not continuing and you're getting stopped out, then close up and move away, or know that this is a good spot to short because the odds are we're gonna fail. So let's look at the rest of the week and why that was super important. That said a lot today. What ended up happening in the afternoon is because if you take, I'm going to just delete this. If you take this line now and you put it up here and you put it right there, that's a lower high. We could not clear this candle. If we would have cleared it today, then that would have been a lot of momentum. But because we could not clear this candle, what will end up happening tomorrow is we're either going to, in the morning, play around in here, and we might end up failing. If we fail and we hold below this 260, definitely should be targeting that 175, and then also down in this 120 area. And then from there, if we end up breaking above this 345 area, really it's this 345, then I would be looking for a push into this mid-range ATR on the multi-day. That is how I play this out. This could end up coming down, and then this could end up chopping around right here, and this could end up being some kind of like consolidation play on another big time frame. This is 30 minutes, and before it ends up either at the end of the week going higher or going lower. So that's why it's super helpful to sort of know where you're at on the chart. Are we chopping around, or are we making new highs?